The Badlands, home to some of the strangest creatures ever to walk this earth. For many years, they have been involved in a full-scale war, and what they are fighting for, not even they know, for they have been programmed with only one thing in mind, and that is to eliminate the enemy. Today, however, the Badlands are peaceful. Due to the efforts of one engineer, a truce has been made between the two sides, and for the first time in years, the bots are not at war. The engineers are happy. They have accomplished their goal of uniting the two teams, and are now free to build in peace. Unfortunately for them though, even though they're the smartest of bots, they are still bots. And just like any bot, they display a notable lack of understanding of the world around them. In this case, they just can't work out how to get around this piece of wood. Trial and error eventually proves its effectiveness however, and one of the engineers manages to make it over the fence. Meanwhile, the rest of the team are inside their base. Before the truce, all they really knew was fighting, and thus they are having trouble coming up with things to do. They are all still equipped for battle, even though their weapons are useless now. Still, they have never experienced a world where they won't need them, and so they continue to hold them close. The red team appears to be enjoying a well-earned break, but while the engineers are building teleporters, and the rest of the team are inside the base, a young sniper emerges to enjoy the fresh air. He too, like the engineers, is puzzled by the fence, but he soon works out how to traverse this obstacle and continues on his way. It looks as though his journey will be uneventful, but unbeknownst to him, a blue sniper has had the same idea. The truce has been in effect for several days now, but when the blue sniper catches sight of what was once his enemy, his programming takes over, and any form of reasoning power he once possessed is lost. Instead, his only desire is to kill what he has been programmed to hate. The red sniper sees the blue sniper take aim and quickly raises his rifle. He takes a shot, but in his haste he doesn't have time to properly line it up, and he misses. The blue sniper, however, hits his target dead on. The red sniper is killed instantly and falls to the floor as the blue sniper watches. He has no idea what he's just done, no idea of the number of lives that will be lost due to this one action. All he knows is that he has succeeded in what he was programmed to do. Back on the red team's battlements, the engineers hear the shot and instantly fear the worst. They tried their hardest, but in the end, you can't change who someone is on the inside, and this also applies to bots. They know only one thing, and the engineer understands this now. All his hours of protesting, all his hours of standing up for what he believed in, were for nothing. The bot wars have been going on for hundreds of years, but not one battle has been as pointless as the Battle of Degerut's Keep. Taking place long before the introduction of gunpowder-based weapons, the bots had to rely on melee weapons alone, and this significantly affects the bot's strategy. We see here the blue team preparing for battle. That is to say, the engineer and sniper are preparing for battle. The rest of the team is immobile, except for the spy, who is attempting to climb this pile of barrels. The engineer appears to be strangely eager to get into battle, as he pushed against the gate trying to get out of the base. Eventually, the gate opens and the blue team is free to leave. However, even this simple task presents problems for the bots, as all the scouts immediately run straight into the wall. The engineer, of course, is first out, and he makes towards one of the enemy control points. He prepares himself for the fight, but when he arrives, the red team is nowhere to be seen. Confused, he stands on the point along with a scout. The rest of the team shows up, and the point is soon captured. But as the team makes their way towards the second control point, the engineer continues to stand where he is. The absence of the enemy team has made him think, what if they didn't have to fight? What if both teams could live in harmony? These are the kind of things no bot has ever considered, and he tries to push the sacrilegious thoughts out of his head, but he can't clear his mind completely, and he continues to stand there, immobilized. The rest of the blue team is busy capturing the second control point without the engineer, but he isn't the only one absent, for a sniper has taken up a defensive position on the other side of the map. This is a good example of how bots were programmed with the future in mind. The sniper, of course, is supposed to snipe people, but unfortunately, the sniper rifle hadn't been invented when this battle took place, so the sniper just stands there, waiting for an enemy to come into view so he can attempt to kill them. The sniper, however, will never see an enemy. The absence of the red team isn't due to them not wanting to fight, as the engineer thought, but because they've become lost in their own castle. When the ancient castle of Degerut's Keep was built, the door was sealed so no intruder could enter and cap the final control point. Unfortunately, there was a slight design flaw in that the defenders also couldn't leave, and so at the beginning of every round, the red team runs to this location in an attempt at leaving the castle so they can defend the area. Of course, their efforts are futile, and the blue team easily caps the second control point, causing the gate to open. Presented with this new path of exit, the red team hastily runs towards it to defend the final control point from the incoming hordes. As it turns out, they do so pretty efficiently, and the blue team is soon driven out. Back at the first control point, the engineer is still deep in thought, unaware of the battle going on within the castle. However, he is interrupted by a friendly scout, who is in turn being attacked by an enemy pyro who has found his way outside the compound. The engineer attempts to help the scout, but as he attempts to dodge his enemy's attacks, he miscalculates his position and steps backwards off the cliff. In a moment of tunnel vision, the pyro jumps off after him, only to realise his mistake as he plummets to the water below. The engineer, however, is unharmed. He has miraculously landed on a ledge and easily walks to safety. At this point, the castle portcullis closes, meaning the blue team has to recapture the control points. The engineer realises now that the red team were in fact intending to fight, so he rejoins his team. However, once the point is capped, he is again lost in thought. Why can't the two teams be at peace? As he is thinking, the red team returns to their usual spot, although some team members are missing. A group of soldiers is at the gate dealing with a lone blue soldier who managed to get inside the compound. At the same time, some of the blue team is trying to get in to help their team member. Once the blue soldier is dealt with, the red soldiers turn their attention towards the bots outside the gate. Unfortunately, neither party registers the existence of the metal barrier between them. Instead, they swing their weapons fruitlessly, hoping beyond hope that one day they will connect with their desired target. Eventually, the blue team decides that capping the control points is a better idea, and left with nothing better to do, the red soldiers rejoin their team in the usual spot. Of course, without resistance, the blue team easily recaps the control points and attempts a second attack on the castle. The red team is ready, however, and manage to keep the invaders at bay, but as they regroup inside the castle, they fail to notice one remaining intruder. This blue pirate is the only one left in the courtyard and has a golden opportunity to capture the point for his team, ensuring victory. However, instead of standing on the point, he just looks at it and stares. Experts are still trying to figure out what made this pyro hesitate, but one thing is for sure, and that's that this pyro has thrown away any hope left that the blue team had of winning, for he is soon killed. The blue team attacks the castle several more times, but each attempt is even less successful than the last. The blue team never managed to take this castle, and the red team still holds it to this day. Back in the present day, the first full-fledged battle since the truce is just beginning. The town of Twofold has been abandoned for many years, but today it is once again populated as the bots move on to their next battlefield. The red team sets out in the direction of the blue base, at least they attempt to. Only 4 bots take the correct path, and the rest of the bots take alternate routes that'll take slightly longer. One sniper, however, goes in the wrong direction entirely and enters the door leading to the intelligence. After a while though, he realises his mistake and returns to take the correct exit. As he leaves, he checks behind him to make sure nobody noticed his embarrassing mistake. The two teams meet on the bridge. As expected, chaos ensues. Bullets and rockets fly everywhere, but eventually it appears as if the red team has taken the upper hand and their heavy medic combo manages to push across the bridge. The heavy, seeing that all of the blue team has been eliminated, jumps for joy and continues on his way. But as the two teams fight, the red spy is busy infiltrating the enemy. Naturally, being the master of espionage he is, he heads towards his own team's intelligence. It may seem strange, but this is actually an ingenious plan devised to confuse the enemy. Once the spy is happy that his tracks are covered, he makes his way towards the blue base, but not before taking a moment to enjoy himself in the sparkling waters. It is a hot day after all. The spy begins looking for the intelligence. His first job is to exit the sewers, and he does so swiftly. However, once he enters the blue base, it seems there is a distinct lack of blue team members. This could be explained in part by the heavy medic combo, who appears to already be in the blue courtyard. Unfortunately for them, the medic is soon killed, and a reinforcement of blue team members arrives promptly. The spy, being a master of disguise, runs blindly past all of them. He sadly misses the spectacular death of this demo man, but the spy has more important things to attend to, or so you'd think. The way to the enemy's intelligence is open, and he could easily steal it, but instead, he decides to chase the soldier and medic into a tiny room, at which point he reveals himself to them, before falling down a hole. For a minute, the soldier is dumbfounded by the spy's idiocy, and takes a moment to react. When he comes to his senses, however, there isn't much hope left for the spy, and he is blown to pieces. Back at the courtyard, this soldier has taken up a tactical defensive position. It proves to be effective, and he is soon joined by a medic and a heavy who takes up a similar position inside the soldier. The blue team soon arrives, and the heavy decides he'd be a lot more effective if he wasn't standing in one place. The soldier stays true to his beliefs and doesn't move. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a bad decision, and he is soon killed. The heavy sees the death of his friend and is moved, and to pay his respects, he returns to his position of defense. After a while, he goes to move, but he has somehow wedged himself between the stairs and the cardboard box and has become stuck. Eventually, he frees himself, and just as he does so, an enemy demo appears. The heavy is caught off guard and tries to retaliate, but it is too late, and the heavy, like many others today, is killed. The demo man pauses for a moment where the heavy once stood, before moving on with the rest of his team. However, there must be something particularly enticing about this spot, for a blue pyro also takes a second to enjoy the area before following the rest of the team. The round is shaping up to be a typical battle of the bot wars. However, there are some important key elements missing. First of all, there is only one sniper. The battlements of both the red and blue bases are distinctly bare. Secondly, the engineers of both teams are missing. This is a major problem, for if an enemy got inside the base, there'll be nothing stopping them from taking the intelligence. And sure enough, a blue pyro slips past the red team's defences unnoticed. Having taken the intel, he makes his way out of the base, but at the top of the stairs, he runs into a red pyro and is killed almost instantly. Almost as soon as this happens, a red scout returns carrying the blue team's briefcase. The blue team made a valiant effort, but the red team has outplayed them this time, and the scout captures the intelligence, winning the battle for his team. Night falls in the Badlands, but the war is far from over. The Double Cross Bridge is a major landmark of the Badlands, so if either team could control this area, it would give them a big advantage in the war. The blue team is just leaving their base, but in doing so, they are already presented with a problem. The bots once again show their inability to understand the basic principles of the fence. Some of the bots quickly work out that they can pass this obstacle by simply jumping. Others are not so smart, and push against the railings in the hope that they will give way, allowing them to pass. Outside the spawn, this heavy appears to be enjoying himself as he jumps up and down on the spot. It is unknown exactly what he is doing, but he soon grows bored and walks over to the fence to join his team. The railings initially appear to be a problem for him too, but like the other bots, he soon works out how to jump. Eventually, only one bot is left, the medic. He sees his teammates below and wonders how he can get to them. He could use the stairs behind him, but that would be too sensible for a bot. Instead, he heals them from the balcony until some new patients arrive, but like the medic's previous patients, they soon work out how to traverse the obstacles in their path, and once again, the medic is alone. But while the blue team are out fighting their enemies, there is still one bot inside the spawn. When the rest of the team left, the engineer stayed behind. This is not the way he envisioned the future. The future was supposed to be peaceful, and the war was supposed to be over. The engineer silently scolds himself for being so naive. Reluctantly, he exits the spawn to help his team. After all, they'll need a builder for health and ammo. Unfortunately, without his help, the red team has already pushed deep into the blue base, and he is confronted by two demo men. The engineer is caught off guard and panics, causing him to fall off the catwalk. He falls directly in front of one of the demo men. The look on his face is one of pure terror, as he stares into the sightless, unblinking eye of the enemy bot. He goes against everything he believes in, but he is forced to use his shotgun. He knows the bot probably has no emotions, yet as he watches its lifeless corpse fall to the ground, something clicks inside of him. He has to get out of here. This world of carnage has no place for him. Meanwhile at the red base, the red team is facing similar difficulties to the blue team. One can only assume it's an inherent design flaw that causes the bots to act in this manner. However, as well as not understanding basic architecture, just like the blue team, there is also one bot remaining in the red spawn. The red team's engineer, who is having a similar emotional struggle to the blue team's, is standing there, contemplating the events that led to this moment. Why didn't the truce work out? Could it ever happen again? These are questions he cannot answer alone, and so he leaves his spawn in search of someone to help him. He walks up to the balcony, but unlike most other bots, he doesn't just push into it. Instead, he looks out onto the battlefield, hoping to find a potential partner. The blue engineer is running, trying to escape this war in which he wants no part in. As he backpedals, he occasionally lets out a shot to ensure his survival. He runs across the bridge, past enemy bots as if they were nothing. The red bots don't see him as a threat and let him pass. Eventually, he makes it to the other end of the bridge and finds himself outside the red base. He thinks all is well, but at that moment, he hears the crack of a shotgun being fired. It's the last thing he hears before the bullets collide with his body and his world fades to black. In the red team's base, the red engineer watches, dumbfounded. In his hands, a shotgun. He instantly regrets his actions and kicks himself mentally. How could he have been so foolish? He was supposed to be befriending the blue team, not killing them. He tries to see the positives of his situation, but as far as he's aware, there aren't any. That engineer was the only other one like him, the only other bot that refused to kill unless necessary. And he just killed him. Hey guys, sorry for taking so long to make this, and sorry for cutting this video short. The planned length was supposed to be around 20 minutes, but it ended up being closer to 30. Because of this, I've decided to split this video in two, so be sure to tune in next week for Bots Part 3. In the meantime, why not consider helping me out by leaving a like, and subscribing to be notified when the next part goes live. That's all for now, thanks, and have fun.